pit blade works.
Gotta love that opening. The opening is freaking fire, bro. Hey Google, stop. That right there, guys, was my Google Nest. I gotta thank Google for the gift. That was an awesome gift. Thank you so much. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. So today, I'm gonna be looking at Ozymandias. And I'm definitely gonna butcher this name, but Ozymandias, I don't know. I know he's from Camelot. I know that he's a writer. I know he's powerful, and he's supposed to be the next guy that I cover in my Guild versus the World video. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find a explain video where they, my regular videos where they go over his abilities and whatnot, but I was able to find like his story, and that's what I'm gonna be reacting to today. Hopefully by listening to some of his feats and whatnot, I will get a pretty good idea of what he can do. So with that being said, let's just jump right into the video. Oh, and by the way, this video is from Otaku Dainku, so
during the 19th dynasty of ancient Egyptian pharaohs, the intimidating pharaoh Seti I orders the deaths of all male Israelite children. These Jewish residents are used as slaves in the construction of Egyptian buildings, but Seti does not want them to become too prolific. Thus, countless children are murdered, drowned horrifically in the Nile.
Oh my God.
Apart from them, however, a single Hebrew child, Moses, is spared this fate when his mother casts him down the Nile in a basket, avoiding the watchful eye of Egyptian
the basket
soldiers.
Down the river? That's crazy.
In an ironic turn of events,
shit happens all the time.
This basket is discovered by the daughter of Seti I, and due to her kindness, the abandoned child is taken in and raised along with her son, Ozymandias. Neither Moses, Seti, his wife, nor her son notice that Moses is of Hebrew descent. Thanks to this, the young child is able to grow up as Ozymandias' half-brother, becoming the best of friends in the process. Once of age, Ozymandias ascends as the third pharaoh of the 19th dynasty under the name Ramses II and the pharaoh Muryamen. The 70-some years of his reign during the 13th to 14th century BC are regarded as the golden age of ancient Egypt. In this position, he governs a vast empire as a wise ruler.
When I said he was from Camelot,
the
I meant the movie, not from
many
actually
epic structures in his domain. He commands Egypt's armies against their neighboring enemies, the Hittites, as a skilled general. He is famous for having many wives, between them fathering over 100 children. His most beloved, Nefertari, is regarded as the most beautiful woman in the world, likened to the Egyptian goddess of love, Hathor. Beyond combat, he establishes peace and prosperity in Egypt by propagating cultural exchange and mutual interaction. Under these conditions, he lives happily with his gorgeous wife and, of course, his close friend and half-brother Moses. Again, ironically, Ozymandias' claim to prosperous cultural exchange is put to the test. While he loves his people, and they love him in return, in a manner befitting the god Osiris, Egypt still stands as a tyrannical force over its Jewish slaves. Moses witnesses an Egyptian man abusing one of his slaves, and while trying to intervene, accidentally kills the man. Thus, he is forced out of his life as a prince, and later on, while traversing Mount Horeb, Moses discovers his Hebrew heritage by stumbling upon a burning bush, viewing its splendor as communication from the Judean God, designating him to be the prophet of his people. Enlightened, Moses returns to his homeland and becomes the Hebrew prophet, preaching the glory of his God, effectively denouncing the Egyptian gods in the process. This revelation forever strains the friendship between the half-brothers. Despite their friendship, Ozymandias is first and foremost a stern ruler
Back in
and
the day,
the readily available labor of the Jewish people in his land.
Almost the law.
When Moses demands that he free the Hebrews, he cruelly refuses. Furthermore, to do so would be an insult to the prowess of his own pantheon of deities. Of course, if friendship cannot persuade the Pharaoh, Moses must rely on more intense measures. As if to deny the power of Egyptian gods altogether, Ozymandias' refusal triggers the coming of the 10 plagues of Egypt, also known as the 10 biblical plagues. For the following days, Ozymandias and his Egyptian subjects are met with horrible catastrophes.
Oh my God.
For the first plague, the Nile's flourishing water is turned to blood, killing the fish and raising stench into the air. The second, Egypt is swarmed with frogs, which infest the streets, the people's homes, and their beds. The third, from the ground's dust come lice that prey upon the people and their animals. The fourth, wild beasts are unleashed upon the people and their livestock.
God
the fifth,
damn.
the surviving livestock are plagued with horrible disease, killing off Egypt's horses, donkeys, camels, cattle, sheep, and goats. Sixth, furnace soot covers Egypt, causing painful, festering boils to erupt upon the people.
Oh my
Seventh,
God.
a terrible hailstorm strikes upon all who have yet to take shelter. Eighth, a massive swarm of locusts blanket all of Egypt, devouring its trees and produce.
That could
Ninth,
oh
the sun
man.
is blocked from the land, shrouding it in shadow for 3
That's
days.
crazy.
The 10th and final plague is the most unbearable. The plague is to pass through Egypt, instantly killing every firstborn son in the land.
Oh my God. That's horrible.
To protect the Lord's followers, Moses instructs the Hebrews to paint their doors in lamb's blood, so that the plague will pass over their homes and spare their children. Tragically, this courtesy is not bestowed upon the Pharaoh's son. The firstborn he cherishes, along with Nefertari, helplessly dies among the horrific wailing that spreads throughout
You already
the
know
night.
he's gonna be tight.
In the aftermath of these disasters, Ozymandias is broken, angrily permitting freedom to the Hebrew people. Of all this hatred, none is directed toward Moses, who merely acts to free his own people. As the Hebrews leave the kingdom of Egypt, one of Ozymandias' advisors strongly urges the pharaoh to send an army after them in pursuit. With his wrath getting the better of him, Ozymandias complies. Moses and his followers near their escape, but find themselves barred off by the presence of the Red Sea. Time is short, as Moses witnesses the coming of Ozymandias and a legion of charioteers in the distance. In an act of divine empowerment, Moses spreads his arms and, in turn, the Red Sea itself parts to create an avenue for escape. Bearing witness to this spectacle, Ozymandias is convinced to let his closest friend go with a simple farewell.
In the real,
Ozymandias
story,
continues his reign as pharaoh.
the army actually goes through, and then
Ozymandias'
the
second prince,
close in on them.
The pharaoh
like,
nears the end of his life. While the death of a pharaoh is treated as only the start of a journey toward reaching the gods, he himself hated his own powerlessness. After all, he is already revered as a god holding the world in the palm of his hand. As a
this
pharaoh,
guy's
his
similar
ego
to
and
Gilgamesh in
confidence
a
are
lot of
unwavering,
ways,
and he calls
personality-wise.
himself the Sun King, child of the sun god Ra. Why should he be forced to go to his eternal sleep before he is ready? In his helplessness, he declares, "No man in the world grieves as I grieve upon the brink of death." Despite this, he is forced to embrace the truth that he will die, even if his rest leads to rebirth in the eternal paradise of the gods. His fate sealed, the pharaoh passes on, and his body is buried in the Egyptian Valley of the Kings, while his legends and glory are recorded into the Throne of Heroes. By the modern era, his remains are excavated and preserved at the Museum of Egyptian Antiquities in Cairo. Removed from his mythological resting place, he can be summoned as a heroic spirit into a body that is not his own.
Damn.
In one of the Akashic Records' many timelines, in preparation for the First Tokyo Holy Grail War, he is summoned as a rider-class servant into the present day with Nefertari's necklace used as the catalyst by a mage named Shizuri Isemi. Upon discovering this, Ozymandias is furious, outraged by the fact that his beloved wife's tomb was raided as a means of summoning him. In this manifestation, he takes the opportunity to live without restraint, pursuing his every will, even harboring a desire to slay his own master in revenge.
Yo, this guy's
Ozymandias fights primarily as a
similar,
Magus,
like freaking
despite
Gilgamesh.
his rider class. Rather, he is affiliated with the rider class mainly because of one of his noble phantasms, Mesectet, the solar ship of the Dark Knight. His claim to be the sun god himself manifests in the god's very own ship for combat. It fires beams of light and even a concentrated blast, radiating as the serpent that slaughters serpents.
That's
With
cool.
its
That's
might,
cool.
Ozymandias can supposedly destroy all of Tokyo in mere
I could just
hours.
imagine him sitting there like
As if that weren't
Gilgamesh.
intimidating enough, Ozymandias wields the Sphinx of Abu el-Hol, the lion-bodied beast of the hot sand, an incarnation of the sky god Horus. It allows him to summon forth various powerful sphinxes, all led by their king sphinx, Wehem Mesut. Beyond this, however, he possesses an even greater noble phantasm, Ramesium Tentiris, the shining great temple complex. His very might is a pharaoh, embodied into a form of reality marble. It is a massive complex of corridors leading to its main temple and throne room. From within, he is blessed by protections and defended by curses that are associated with the gods said to be housed within. Among them, Ozymandias and his guardian beasts are immortal while the temple still stands. His opponents are poisoned by an Egyptian divine spirit, and their noble phantasms are sealed. This restriction holds unless the opponent is a divine spirit or related to one. In addition to all of its defensive capabilities, the temple can channel its contained mana into a devastating beam of light, the Dendera electric bulb, the great light bulb of Amun-Ra. Compared to his Mesectet, the long-range blast of the bulb is more akin to a solar flare, able to vaporize Tokyo or an entire naval fleet. In a last resort, the temple can even be used to fall from the sky and smash into a target. Such impressive might is only in his possession because of his tremendous fame and the claim that all temples of past, present, and future exist for my own good. To legitimize this declaration, his name is engraved into most Egyptian monuments. During the war, he comes face to face with King Arthur Pendragon and Arash. Despite his ridiculous strength, he falls when struck simultaneously by the light of Excalibur and Arash's noble phantasm, Stella. They are able to activate their strongest attacks in his presence because Arthur makes use of Paracelsus's Philosopher's Stone to temporarily repel the temple's curse. In his final moments, Ozymandias claims that Excalibur's light, while much brighter, reminds him of the light cast by Moses during the parting of the Red Sea. In an alternate universe, humanity faces its destruction via incineration. Chaldea, humanity's last hope, sends its only master, Ritsuka Fujimaru, to various singularities to retrieve holy grails planted by Solomon, the king of mages. One of these singularities is a distorted space containing sections of Jerusalem and Egypt. From the Holy Grail, Ozymandias is summoned alongside the pharaoh Nitocris, who almost immediately defers to his divine excellence. He believes his summoning to be a mission to save the world from destruction, and thus seizes the Holy Grail from the Crusaders in Jerusalem, going so far as to oppose the Lion King and the various incarnations of Hassan-i Saba. In accordance with this defiance, King Hassan the old man of the mountain, even confronts the pharaoh in his own temple. After a swift
Really?
bout, Hassan beheads Ozymandias, but thanks to the
Of course
protection of his
Hassan.
temple, he is able to remain alive while inside. Thus, he must continue his pursuit in the singularity without leaving the temple's vicinity. Regardless, he abstains from assaulting the distant mountains. Ultimately, Ozymandias is confronted by Ritsuka's party, and after losing to them in a test of strength, even after harnessing the power of a demon god pillar, he lends them his army of sphinxes to use in their assault against the holy city of Camelot. However, the party is unable to penetrate the massive
I don't want to
barrier
hear all this.
erected around the tower at the ends of the world. Deciding to sacrifice himself in their aid, Ozymandias lets loose the full power of the Remisium Tentirius. When this proves ineffective, both he and Nitocris combine their efforts to send the temple crashing into the tower, obliterating the barrier. This act of sacrifice serves as one of the most critical steps in resolving the singularity and, in turn, ensuring the survival of mankind.
That was a pretty dope story. It was not bad. Like, I really enjoyed it. It was interesting.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please
Do I
like,
wanna talk about-
comment, and subscribe to Otaku Daikun for more anime lists, reviews, discussions, lore videos,
Alright, so
live
I'm gonna stop it right
streams,
here.
and the
So, basically, I know a little bit of his life. Well, I know a lot now, but beforehand, I did know about him and Moses. I've heard the story of the parting of the Red Sea before. In the actual story, the army actually goes through the opening, and then the seas close in on them. So it was crazy. It was crazy. It's a crazy ass story. So let's go ahead and talk about when he's a servant, specifically more of his noble phantasms, which are pretty damn cool though. Like nothing that can really take on Gilgamesh except for the last one, where like the reality marble temple. That one is pretty dope, because if you fight this guy within the temple, this guy is immortal. You get cursed, poisoned, and this guy has an army in there. So, oh, and your noble phantasms are sealed. But they did mention one weakness, which was if you're a divine being. I don't think Gilgamesh is considered to be a divine being, but he does have divinity. So tell me in the comment below how that actually works. Do you have to be like a legit god for the effects not to affect you, or do you just have to have a high enough divinity? Because if a high enough divinity is what is required, then Gilgamesh has the highest, you know. So his castle might not work on Gil. On the other hand, like that's pretty much the only thing that he has, in my opinion, that can actually take on Ea. Because while his beam, like his solar flare beam, is strong, it's nothing compared to Ea. So like it's said that it could destroy Tokyo in a single blast. Well, I'm pretty sure Ea can do a lot more than that, since it's an anti-world noble phantasm. So obviously there's a lot of different factors that comes into play if Gilgamesh actually wants to destroy the world, which he doesn't. There's a lot of different factors that comes into play, like the counter force and whatnot. But just the fact that his noble phantasm is considered an anti-world noble phantasm, it could imply that if he had no opposition, he could destroy the world. So with that being said, his beam is powerful, but I don't think it can do much against Gilgamesh. And sure, he might have an army of Sphinx, but Gilgamesh has an army, well, not an army, but like a pretty freaking large arsenal that Gil could probably just like freaking rapid fire and destroy his Sphinx army. But I'm not sure though. I'm not sure if this guy has any divinity. I'll check. because as you guys know, like Gil's most powerful weapons are Enkidu and Ea. So if I don't think he has any divinity, although he does proclaim himself as the son of the sun god Ra. So I'm not sure if he's gonna have any divine stats. Actually, I can look it up right now. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I actually have his stats right here. He actually does have a B rank divinity, so Enkidu would definitely work. Except if he's in his castle and seals Gil's Gate of Babylon. If that ends up happening, because I'm not sure. Again, I need you guys to tell me. I'm not sure if Gil needs to be an actual god to not be affected by the castle, or if you just need to have a high enough divinity. Because if a high enough divinity is all that's required, then Gil can definitely bypass the curses and the sealment of his noble phantasms, which in that case, then Gil could pretty much kill Ea. Kill this guy with Ea. But you know what would be interesting about that fight though? What would be interesting about that fight is their interaction, because they're so freaking similar. They're so like egotistical and whatnot. I could see Gil getting pissed at this guy, like looking down on him or something. Like, oh my god, that would be hilarious. That would be fun as hell to see, bro. I can see Gilgamesh getting tight. I really can. Remember how he used to get, like, how he got tight at first at Ishkandar because he was calling himself a king? Well, imagine with Ozy calling himself the king of kings. Like, yo, Gil will be freaking pissed, man. Like, Gil will be pissed. So one other thing he mentioned though, how this guy would when he was summoned in the Tokyo Holy Grail War, how he got mad because the item that was used to summon him was the necklace of his wife. That's like if Gil was summoned, right? And what was used to summon him was like one of his treasures, like one of the treasures that he likes the most. I don't know, like imagine if someone summoned him using, I don't know, like one of, like, let's say like one of Enkidu's spear tips or something. Like, you imagine how tight Gil would be for a human to actually touch Enkidu without his permission, bro. Like, oh my god. Like, so and remember, like, when Gil was in the Grail, in every Grail War that Gil was on, like, well, not every war because it was the same Grail War, but in every incarnation of the Stay Night events that Gil was on, he always did whatever the hell he wanted. Like, even in Zero, like, this dude was just like, the only time that I saw Gil actually being commanded was when his master, what's this guy's name? Tosaka Rin's father, you know? So the only time that I saw Gil following orders was when Tosaka's father used the command seal to make him retreat, and he was tight. He was pissed, bro. So yeah, in every Girl War, Gil just does whatever he wants, and this guy apparently is the same exact way. So the fight wouldn't be interesting just because of who could win, but the fight would be interesting because of, like, their interaction. Like, I would love for something like that to be animated, bro, or at least like a manga or something, because that'll be fun to see. That, like, those two egos clashing, I think that's the most interesting part about the fight. So basically, when my thoughts on the fight are this: if Gil's noble phantasms are sealed, then Ozy has a pretty big chance of killing Gil. But if the noble phantasms are not sealed, then I don't think this guy has any chance at all. Now, if Gil's poisoned by his castle, I don't know how fast the poison acts, but if Gil's poisoned by his castle, it will pressure Gil to finish the fight quicker, meaning using air. Now, if the poison kills you immediately, then technically as soon as Gil enters the castle, he's dead. Although I do believe his armor does provide him with some like curse protection. So I'm not sure about that, but I think I read that somewhere. So it's a pretty tough fight, but I'm not gonna talk too much about the fight. It's just that like their egos are freaking insanely huge, so that would be fun to watch. So next time I'm gonna do the actual discussion of Gil versus Ozy. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel. Also, please subscribe. When I hit 500 subs, I said I'm gonna start doing the Fate Strange Fake. Wow, that's a tongue twister right there. Fate Strange Fake manga reaction. So please hit that subscribe button, help me reach 500 subs. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. As I always say, catch you guys in the next one. Bow.